Chapter 8. The Return of the Stone. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows over the road as Ash and Serena continued their journey. They had just left the gym with a new badge in hand, Serena still glowing from her victory, and Ash feeling a deep sense of pride for everything they had accomplished together. But something else weighed on their minds, a nagging reminder that, despite everything they had learned, they were still not in their own bodies. The experience of living in each other's shoes had been eye-opening, but the novelty had worn off, and they both longed to return to their true selves. As they walked through a quiet village nestled between two mountain ranges, they overheard whispers about something that piqued their interest. "Did you hear about the magical stone?" A villager was asking a companion, his voice barely audible over the rustling wind. "The one that can swap souls." The other replied, his tone hushed and excited. Yeah, I've heard about it. My grandfather told me stories about it when I was young. They say it's hidden deep in the mountains, near the old shrine." Ash and Serena exchanged a glance, their hearts skipping a beat. Could it be? Could the stone they had been seeking, the one that caused them to swap bodies, be real after all? Without missing a beat, Ash cleared his throat and approached the villagers. "Excuse me," he said, his voice still coming from Serena's mouth, which made the conversation feel a little surreal. "We couldn't help but overhear. Could you tell us more about this stone?" The villagers turned to them, their faces lighting up with the chance to share a local legend. Oh, the stone's an old story," the first man said, folding his arms. "They say it's been around for centuries. It's called the Spirit Bond Stone, and according to legend, it has the power to swap people's souls, to make them walk in each other's shoes, so to speak. But it's not just for fun. The stone is supposed to be a test." "A test?" Serena asked, her face, Ash's face, frowning in confusion. The second villager nodded sagely. Yeah, a test of the bond between two people. The stone doesn't just swap your souls for no reason. It's meant to teach a lesson, to make you understand something about each other that you wouldn't have otherwise. Only once you've proven that you've learned from the experience can you find a way to reverse it. Ash and Serena exchanged another glance. It was as if the pieces of the puzzle were finally falling into place. They had been swapped for a reason. The stone, if it was indeed the same one, had wanted them to learn something from their time in each other's bodies. "Where can we find this stone?" Ash asked, a sense of urgency creeping into his voice. The first villager scratched his chin, thinking, Well, if the stories are true, it's hidden in an ancient shrine deep in the mountains to the east. It's a tough journey, though. The path is treacherous, and the shrine is guarded by all sorts of traps and puzzles. But if you're determined, you might be able to find it." Serena nodded, determination sparking in her eyes. Ash's eyes. "We have to try. We need to find that stone." The villagers gave them directions to the mountains, and with a shared sense of purpose, Ash and Serena set off on the path that would hopefully lead them to the shrine, and to the solution to their predicament. The journey into the mountains was challenging, just as the villagers had warned. The path was steep, winding through dense forests and rocky terrain. The air grew colder as they ascended, and the wind howled around them, making it difficult to hear anything besides the rustle of leaves and the occasional cry of a wild Pokemon. As they walked, Serena found herself reflecting on everything they had been through since the swap. She had learned so much in Ash's body, about battling, about trusting her instincts, and about the deep bond Ash shared with his Pokemon. She had always admired him, but now she understood him in a way she never could have before. "He makes this look easy," Serena thought as she adjusted her pace to match Ash's usual stride. But it's not. Battling requires so much focus and quick thinking. It's not just about strength. It's about knowing your Pokémon and trusting them completely. And Ash, walking beside her in Serena's body, was having similar thoughts. He had spent the last few days performing in Serena's place, learning how much effort and skill went into her routines. It wasn't just about looking good or moving gracefully. It was about connecting with the audience, making them feel something, and putting your heart into every performance. She's amazing, Ash thought, glancing at Serena, his own body, walking beside him. She's tougher than I ever gave her credit for. Performing takes a different kind of strength, but it's just as hard as battling. The path grew steeper as they climbed higher into the mountains, and soon they found themselves standing at the base of a large rock formation. A narrow passageway led deeper into the mountains, and beyond it, they could see the faint outline of an ancient structure, likely the shrine the villagers had mentioned. This must be it, Ash said, squinting through the dim light. Serena nodded. Let's go. They made their way through the passage, the walls closing in around them as they approached the shrine. The air grew colder, and a sense of ancient power seemed to hang in the air, as if the place itself was alive with the magic of the stone. When they finally emerged into a clearing, they saw it, a small, weathered shrine built from stone, perched on the edge of a steep cliff. In the center of the shrine, resting on a pedestal, was a smooth, glowing stone, the Spirit Bond Stone. Ash and Serena approached the shrine cautiously, their hearts pounding in their chests. The stone pulsed with a soft, ethereal light, as if it were aware of their presence. "This is it," Serena whispered, her voice filled with awe and trepidation. The stone that started all of this. But before they could get any closer, a figure stepped out from the shadows. A tall, elderly man with long, flowing robes and a beard as white as snow. His eyes gleamed with wisdom, and he carried a gnarled wooden staff that seemed to resonate with the energy of the shrine. "Welcome," the old man said, his voice deep and resonant. "I have been expecting you." Ash and Serena froze, exchanging a glance of confusion and surprise. Who are you?" Ash asked cautiously. The old man smiled, his eyes twinkling with a knowing look. "I am the keeper of this shrine, and the guardian of the Spirit Bond Stone. I have watched over this place for centuries, waiting for those who are worthy to find it." "Worthy?" Serena repeated, frowning. "What do you mean?" The old man stepped closer, tapping his staff on the ground as he spoke. "The stone you seek is no ordinary object. It is a powerful artifact created long ago to test the bonds between people. When two souls are swapped, it is not a curse. It is a challenge to understand one another, to grow, and to learn from the experience." Ash and Serena exchanged another glance, the pieces of the puzzle clicking into place. "So, this was all a test?" Ash asked, his voice filled with disbelief. The old man nodded. "Yes, the stone chose you for a reason. It saw the strength of your bond, but it also saw that there was more you needed to learn from each other. Only by walking in each other's shoes could you truly understand the depth of your connection." Serena's heart raced as she processed the old man's words. The swap hadn't been random. It had been intentional. The stone had wanted them to learn from each other, to see the world through each other's eyes. "But how do we reverse it?" Serena asked, her voice tinged with desperation. "How do we get back to our own bodies?" The old man smiled again, his eyes filled with kindness. "The stone will only reverse the swap once you have proven that you have learned from the experience. You must demonstrate that you have grown, that you have truly understood what it means to be the other person. Only then will the stone return your souls to their rightful places. Ash frowned, feeling a mix of frustration and determination. So, what do we need to do? How do we prove that we've learned? The old man gestured to the shrine, where the stone continued to pulse with a soft, glowing light. The stone will know. It will sense the truth in your hearts. It will ask you to reflect on what you have learned, and if it deems you worthy, it will grant you the gift of returning to your true selves. Ash and Serena stood there in silence for a moment, the weight of the old man's words sinking in. This was it, the final test. They had to prove that they had learned from their time in each other's bodies, that they had grown and understood what the stone had been trying to teach them all along. Serena took a deep breath and stepped forward, her heart pounding in her chest. She approached the stone, the soft glow reflecting in Ash's eyes. Her eyes, as she placed her hands on the pedestal. "I've learned so much," she said quietly, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "I've always admired Ash, but I never really understood what it took to be a trainer until I was in his shoes. I've learned that battling isn't just about strength or power. It's about trust, about believing in your Pokemon and in yourself. It's about pushing through the fear and uncertainty and giving it everything you've got. Ash does that every day, and now I understand the weight of that responsibility." Ash watched Serena, his heart swelling with pride as she spoke. She had truly learned from the experience, and he could see the depth of her understanding in her eyes. "And I've learned too," Ash said, stepping forward to stand beside her. "I've always known Serena was strong, but I didn't realize how much strength it took to do what she does. Performing, connecting with people. It's not just about looking good or making people smile. It's about putting your heart into everything you do, about being vulnerable and opening yourself up to the world. Serena does that every time she steps on stage, and now I understand how brave she really is." Serena turned to Ash, her eyes, his eyes, filled with gratitude and understanding. They had both learned so much from each other, and now, standing before the stone, they could feel the truth of their words resonating in the air around them. The old man nodded, his expression softening. "You have both grown immensely. The bond between you is stronger than ever. The stone has tested you, and you have proven yourselves worthy." As he spoke, the stone began to glow brighter, its light filling the shrine with a warm, ethereal glow. Ash and Serena felt a strange sensation wash over them, a tingling warmth that spread from their chests to the tips of their fingers and toes. The light grew brighter and brighter, until it was blinding. And then, suddenly, everything went dark. For a moment, there was silence, stillness. And then, slowly, Ash blinked his eyes open. He looked down at his hands, his legs, his body, and realized with a start that he was back. He was in his body again. "Serena?" he called out, his voice, echoing in the shrine. Serena opened her eyes, blinking in confusion for a moment before a smile of pure relief spread across her face. "Ash, I'm back. I'm me again." They both stood there for a moment, staring at each other, their hearts pounding with the realization that the swap had finally been reversed. They were themselves again, back in their own bodies, back where they belonged. The old man smiled, his eyes twinkling with satisfaction. "The stone has returned you to your rightful places. You have passed the test." Ash and Serena turned to him, their faces filled with gratitude. "Thank you," Serena said, her voice soft but sincere. We couldn't have done it without your guidance. The old man nodded. The stone chose you for a reason. It knew that your bond was strong, but now it is even stronger. Remember what you have learned from this experience, and carry it with you as you continue your journey. Ash and Serena exchanged a glance, their hearts filled with a deep sense of understanding and appreciation for each other. They had been through so much together, and now, after everything, they were closer than ever. As they left the shrine and began their descent back down the mountain, they walked side by side, their steps in perfect sync. The sky above them was clear, the sun shining brightly on the path ahead, and for the first time since the swap, everything felt right again. They had faced the test, learned from each other, and come out stronger on the other side. And now, as they continued their journey together, they knew that nothing could break the bond they shared.